Hello, I'm Felicity Green, and this is the first video in the Pranayama series. And so we are going to learn the first, or what Mr. Iyengar calls Series 1. So if you get his book, Light on Pranayama, you can read about Series 1. But I'm going to do a demonstration, which helps a lot, and I'm showing you pictures of the diaphragm and the action of the diaphragm on a demonstrated model. So Mr. Iyengar, in his genius, realized that most people taught pranayama in a traditional seated position. And in the seated position, if your intercostal muscles and you don't have an awareness of your diaphragm, what it's doing inside, you don't get a good result. So he realized that if we take it in an easier position where gravity is neutralized, the lying position, then we can get in touch with those intercostal muscles and how they move the ribs like bucket handles on the side of a bucket, and the movement of the diaphragm. So when a baby is born, it does belly breathing, and that's because not everything has developed yet, not all the muscles have developed yet. And so that's the way it breathes. It takes the diaphragm down into the pelvic area as deep as possible, and that makes the belly swell. That's why it's called belly breathing. But we are now mature people, and we don't need to do belly breathing. We need to bring the energy up into the chest cavity, because that's where we produce prana, the wonderful light that helps us to live life more fully. So what we're going to do is understand a little bit by looking at these pictures of the shape of the diaphragm, which is a dome-shaped muscle, and it's attached to the rib cage all the way around, in the front and at the back. Okay, and it's lower at the back than it is in the front. So we, instead of taking the diaphragm all the way down to the pelvis, we're taking the diaphragm down to the bottom of the lower ribs. And then we create the intercostal action so that it lifts the ribs like these bucket handles, and we get some lateral movement. And remember, our rib cage goes all the way up to the collarbones. So eventually you will be able to feel breath moving gently underneath your flesh here, just below your collarbones. But in the beginning, it's basically the bottom intercostals that we're working with. So I'm going to be demonstrating, and I will be putting my hands on the model. You can put your hands in the same place to feel that lateral movement that is created by the intercostals to make your chest larger. And there is a video of Mr. Iyengar. It was actually in San Francisco, and he did a demonstration of inhaling and exhaling, and it was just amazing. He kept on inhaling and inhaling and inhaling, and you could feel the tension growing in this huge auditorium, and it was just amazing how long he could go on inhaling. Now, we all just have to learn to use our own capacity, particularly in the beginning. So don't strain, just try to be aware of these delicate movements inside. So you've been doing asana and working your shoulders and your knees and your hips, etc., etc. These are all large outer movements. Now we are going on with yoga, and we are moving ourselves inside to pranayama. And this is to learn to focus the mind. So Mr. Iyengar said that the mind, the breath, is the king of the mind. So on your inhaling breath, your mind gets busy. On your exhaling breath, your mind gets quiet. Now, for some of us, inhaling is easy, exhale is not so easy. For others, exhale is easy, inhale is not so easy. This tells you a little bit about your mind. If you have a very busy mind, you probably find inhaling very easy. If you find letting go easily, you relax easily, then you probably find an exhale. But we want to develop an even breath rhythm. Even, and so we have to pay attention to the one that's the most difficult. Anyway, we're going to focus today on the diaphragm and on the movement of the intercostals. And I hope you'll watch carefully. Remember, it's delicate movement. It's not great, big, huge movements. Stephen is going to help me by being a demonstrator. And the first thing you have to learn is how to fold your blankets. So you need 2 blankets, and they should be cotton or wool. And you're going to fold them nice and evenly in 3, putting the fringed edge at one edge, at the same edge. And if you have a small body, you might take just 1 blanket and fold it in 4, so it's narrower. These blankets are a prop, and they're to help you to open the chest. So then you're going to feel your back and find out where your lower ribs are. For a man, there is space between the top of the pelvis and the lower ribs. For a woman, the lower ribs are often right next to the pelvis almost. So when you lie down, you want to put your lower ribs on the edge. Lie back, take your hands back, find the edge of the blankets with the fringe and start rolling it towards the floor. Roll it in, don't fold it in, roll it in. Then you've got to feel your head. Is your neck and your head supported? And is your forehead really higher than your chin? Now we want the front throat to be relaxed, because when we do sitting pranayama, we relax our head down. So Stephen, his forehead is just a little higher than his chin. So he's going to take his hands back and find an extra thing and tuck it underneath to lift his head, his forehead up higher. And that is better now, that there is an angle there to his face and his front throat is relaxed. So first, we want to be relaxed, and as I said in the beginning, pranayama is usually done after asana. At the end of asana, you usually do shavasana, death pose, and you lie quietly and relax everything. So you're relaxed when you start your pranayama, and it's going to take you 10 or 15 minutes. Now in the beginning, we want to find out the difference between belly breathing and diaphragmatic breathing, or intercostal breathing. We have 2 names for it. So belly breathing is like a baby breathes. It takes the diaphragm and pushes the diaphragm as far down into the pelvic area as it can to take the deepest breath in. So Stephen's going to show you first belly breathing. So you can see it's his belly that's moving, not his chest much. He's breathing in, he's breathing out. So as he breathes in, the diaphragm moves down. As he moves out, the diaphragm moves up. So the diaphragm is a circular muscle, the only circular muscle in the body. It attaches all the way to the bottom of the ribs. So you can see now he's not doing much chest breathing, he's doing mostly belly breathing. And you want to find out if you are a belly breather or you're not. Men tend to be belly breathers more than women, because women have this idea to have a good figure, they must pull their belly in. And then they put a bra on, and that limits also how much your chest can expand comfortably. Okay, so now he's going to change his ideas. He's going to take his hands to his bottom ribs and squeeze. So remember, your intercostal muscles are very small. They're just the little muscles between the ribs, and so they're not very sensitive in the beginning. Anyway, so now he's going to squeeze as he exhales, and then as he inhales, push those ribs out into his hands. And you can see how this has changed the breathing now. Now the breath is coming up into his chest. And this is the important thing, because it's in your chest that the life force, the prana, is mostly in there, in that area, not in your belly area. So now he's focusing only on taking his diaphragm as far as his lower ribs, and then he's activating his rib cage, his lower ribs first, and then taking the breath as high up as it can go. Remember, your lungs go all the way up to your collarbone area, so your lungs are very large. I believe if they open them out, they're the size of a tennis court. And they absorb the oxygen, so you don't want to rush your breathing. A respiratory therapist in one of my classes, she said, we explain to people that the buses come in with oxygen and they go out with carbon dioxide, but they have to be there for a little while for the oxygen passengers to get off and for the carbon dioxide passengers to get on. So don't rush your breathing. Stay relaxed, keep your shoulders relaxed, your face relaxed. Feel your weight of your head. Make sure your tongue is not pushing on your upper teeth or up onto your palate. Relax the tongue and just focus your mind on the diaphragm, on the ribs, on the breath flowing in and out through your nose. And you need to practice this 10 or 15 minutes every day. So thank you, Stephen, for being such a good demonstrator.